When you want your spring break to feel like... and your kids' pool day to feel like... and your hotel bed to feel like... ooh, and room service to feel like... because at Hilton, hospitality feels like...
Your cabana's ready. Would you like fresh towels?
it matters where you stay. Book now at Hilton.com. Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Introducing Virtuo Up, the latest in a long line of innovation from Nespresso. It's innovation you can touch, sense, and taste in every single cup. With a 3-second start, easy open lever, and dedicated brew over ice button, it's even easier to enjoy your coffee your way. Sip for yourself. Shop Virtuo Up exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Picture this. A curve in the road. A change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
This episode is brought to you by Peloton. Step up your sweat with the Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. Swivel your screen 360 degrees and follow your favorite instructors on and off your tread. Track your form and reps with the movement tracking camera. Feel supported as you train on the cushioned slap belt. And move to the beat with Sound by Sonos. Elevate your workouts with the Cross Training Tread Plus.
Keeping current with Kansas City, this is Abel from the KC Soccer Journal with me, Carrie from Off to See. Your thing is listed as the Comets still, Carrie. Your name tag.
Did you go see the Comets?
I did.
She was a star player for the Comets.
Wow.
But we'll move on from there. Daniel Sperry from the KC Star, who I want to like make a song out of this. I just can't sing. He's a Sentner believer, like a monkey song or something.
Okay.
But that's his name tag today. He's a Sentner believer.
Yep.
All right. We have a game to talk about, which is way better than all the speculations and all the why somebody should or not or should not have been hired or who was or was not traded. Although we'll probably touch on that some point later. But we have a game to talk about. Casey current faced Utah. I spaced off for a second. Utah Royals.
Good job.
And the first half was perhaps not as spectacular as maybe some had hoped, because everybody I talked to said, oh yeah, it's Utah, no problem, they'll beat them. But then everybody kind of nervously would say, oh, but it's going to be like a 1-0 game. Okay. Did you guys come into this expecting it to be as tight as it was in the first half?
No, it definitely felt like a first game of the season type. But I also expected Utah to also feel more like that. But they seemed a little bit more together compared to the current.
How about you, Daniel?
I thought Utah was surprisingly good in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to play out of the back. They were doing so. They were high pressing the current. I thought that was something that was interesting. We'll talk about later what happened, but they had they had the ability to high press the current, and the current build-up phases were kind of reduced to the middle third of the field. They really weren't getting numbers and a whole host of numbers into the final third to kind of pin Utah in. And Utah was able to do that and launch long balls forward and get set pieces and do that. They outshot the current in the first half 6-3, and I thought they had a good plan. They played decent football, as you might say, trying to build out of the back and all of that. Better than another team in town at building out of the back in some moments. But I thought the current also left a lot on the table too, in opportunities that they didn't quite come to fruition or they didn't really take full advantage of.
I know one of the questions we had coming into the season, especially with injuries and trades and all that stuff, was who was going to play where. Cooper was back enough to play the first half. Sentner up top. How did you see this formation laying out? Because I was on field level, so that's a little sometimes weird to try to determine everything, especially with players interchanging. How did you see the formation? And I should mention Katie Scott into the midfield.
Yes, Katie Scott in the midfield. It was pretty clearly a 4-2-3-1 for me. I that doesn't surprise me about the way it was set up. Ali and Deb were very tight together, so I can understand why some might say a 4-2-1-1, 4-2-2-1.
One
Two, I don't know. That doesn't, yeah, I don't know. Sorry. But anyways, that doesn't quite fully
math
math
is
there.
hard.
I know, but it was really, it was more of a very, very front four diamond in front of them, but it was very compact diamond, if I might say. So I thought, uh, yeah, Croy was mostly operating off the left, inside on the left hand side of those channels. Dabinia was mostly kind of in the middle slash more to the right at times because Cooper it was kind of dropping a little bit further back. So it was a little bit offset up there, and then Ali Sentnor was probably the point of the diamond as the number 9.
Or the closest thing to a 9 as they played, because they were
Yes.
very interchangeable,
Yes.
which is good.
I would say Croy and Dabinia and Cooper kind of floated a little bit, whereas but for the most part, really, Ali also kind of floated centrally with Dabinia. At times, Dabinia would push a little bit higher. Ali had dropped into the hole to kind of help play make. When you have those two type of players, even then, Ali is as much as a number 9 as she can be and playing off the back shoulder of players. She also is very decent at dipping into the hole as kind of a false 9-ish type player. So I think she would even describe herself as a 9.5 slash a false 9 at times. And so you have Dabinia, whose tendency is to do some of that work as well as Ali. Just kind of picked and chose their moments of who was where in some of those moments.
How did you see all that playing out, Carrie, and especially maybe that back line?
Yeah, well, before the back line, I wanna kinda talk about that front line. It felt
Okay.
like, Zentner, Croy, and Dabinia were all kinda together on the same page, and then Michelle Cooper was, like, a step off, or, she would yell at the players to, like, give her the ball next time, and then she just whiffed the ball whenever she got it the next time. It was not the best game for her.
A little understandable with coming back from injury. I don't know how much practice time she's had, especially with some of the newer players.
That's true, but also, like, these are players that she's played with for the national team,
True.
Davinia, you think that you could get a few more passes in there. Um, but that back line was I am not a Robinson fan. I'm just gonna say it on that back line.
Hmm. So the back line was Izzy, uh, Kayla, Gabrielle, and Ellie
Mhm,
Bravo Young,
mhm,
right? And then, as I mentioned earlier, Katie Scott moved into the midfield as one of the kind of the dual pivots next
mhm.
to Feist, right?
Yep.
How did you said you're not a fan of Robinson? What did she do or not do that stood out for you, Carrie?
I just feel like she is I don't see her as the best one-on-one defender. When that comes and usually Kayla can be there to back her up. But whenever Kayla's going up into try to get a header on corners and stuff like that, I just get a little iffy on Robinson's coverage back there.
With Katie Scott up there as as the dual part of that dual pivot, how do you think they worked? And is that a solution? Again, I'm not always a fan of Lowe being back there as much either, but how do you think that those guys, they work together with Lowe not being there?
I thought it was fine. To be honest, I actually thought Bailey played great. She was really good at like let's say Ellie went into like an aerial duel or a duel with somebody. Bailey was always there to like kind of sandwich the player basically and win the ball back. That happened in numerous times in the second half, She was really good at jump starting the attack out of the midfield. It's what I'm dead serious. It's it's what I had like hoped I would see out of Bailey Feist, but it's also one of the best games that I think Bailey's played in a KC Current uniform. I just really think right now this kind of is her opportunity and her window to shine, and I think we really saw it on Saturday. She gave me less worry about what that midfield might look like with without Claire Hutton. I just think she brought a lot of quality and a lot of the vision and the timing and the execution of her passes to the front four to jumpstart those transition phases were really on and set them into a lot of numbers advantages. The front four just didn't really do a whole lot with it in that first half, and so I was impressed with Bailey. I thought Katie did a good job of running around and kind of putting in tackles and heckling people. She also played a couple of really good long balls over the top too. That I thought either Michelle didn't quite have the legs to get to just because of in my opinion, she was very rusty for the first game. It's excusable, kind of given what she's been trying to come back from and how long she wasn't really part of things in preseason. Um, in general, I liked it. I think I don't know that Katie Scott's a long-term fit there, and I think they might have someone else in this squad that might be a better long-term fit.
Who would that be?
That I my vote was for Gabrielle Robinson. I thought when they brought in Eball at the end of the game, and then brought Eball in, shifted Kayla back over to left center back, and then put Gabby in for Katie Scott, I was very like Gabrielle was winning ball after ball in the midfield. She is very much a center back. I think this is and I understand what Carrie's saying. She's very much a center back that likes to go up and forecheck, and get in and maybe kind of higher press, but that usually means you need in that role, you need a stopper if you're gonna have someone or a sweeper if you're gonna have someone that's gonna be that aggressive, like stopper.
Yeah.
And E-ball is a great sweeper. And a great sweeper, great at reading angles, great at closing down lanes for players. Gabrielle does it like Kayla Sharples is also an elite stopper
Right.
in the way she plays. So when you have two of those going forward, if it can be a little dangerous at times, which is I understand is what Carrie was saying. But that also works if you're a defensive midfielder. I don't think Kayla is as Sharples on the ball as Gabrielle Robinson is, and Gabrielle Robinson has played in college as a striker, she played in college in the midfield, she played in college on the back line. She can do everything. She has the vision, she understands the way everybody moves, and I think she is a much more cerebral player than we see at times at center back, and I would love to see her get a shot. Going into the game, I thought she might get the shot in the midfield. I was kinda surprised, but also pleasantly surprised by how Katie Scott did. But I'd be really interested to see more of Gabrielle Robinson back there because I've really liked how she played as kind of a single pivot back with Caroline Hairbloom and
Right.
the KC team. And I've kind of thought since then she has the potential to be a Julie Ertz type. Um, in the sense that she can play the six, she can play as a center back, is big, physical in the air, but also really comfortable on the ball and very good at just snuffling things out as a tackler in the midfield. So, um, yeah, I'm going too far kind of on that, but I did think Katie Scott played well. I do think Gabrielle Robinson is also a really good solution, but for me, Bailey Feist absolutely has to stick in the midfield. She was phenomenal.
Yeah, last year we complimented Feist a lot in the little bit that we got to see her. It was just she wasn't gonna break in past a couple of the players that were normal starters. So we kinda hoped that she would do well. It's just that's the fear is has she the long-term solution for as being one of those sixes? And I would say I don't know why Armas played who he did or did not play in certain spots, but if I was going to make a guess, maybe he just felt like there was only so many center backs to go around and there was extra outside backs to move forward. That could be part of that logic.
Mhm.
And then also, but Gabrielle getting kind of moving up after uh, Scott moved out or subbed out, that might just be a audition for that role a little bit later.
Yeah, I just wanted to go look at Feist's numbers here. She played 27 to 36 passes. She had 6 total defensive contributions. She had 57 yeah, 57 touches, 5 passes in the final third, put in 2 tackles, 2 clearances, a headed clearance, 2 interceptions, 11 ball recoveries, and she was 7 of 11 in her ground duels won and 3 of 3 in her aerial duels won, and she drew her 4 fouls herself in that transition phase. I mean, that's a very, very good shift,
Yeah,
from what we saw. Outside of Sentnor and Dabinia, and Sharples, she had the next highest grade according to FOTMob, which you can put however you want about that. To me, she was probably one of the best 3 players on the field in the game. So
cool. The Current did give up a goal in the first half, though. It was off a set piece.
uh,
Old
the
old
more things
issues.
change, the more they stay the same. It
Did,
was
did,
kind of. I just say it was a good set piece routine early in the season, and if Katie Scott is half a yard higher, it's offside, and the Current win that game 2-0, and you're not worried about it.
what did you see on that one, Carrie, on the goal?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Kayla and Robinson both getting beat by that one player.
But in reality, if Katie Scott's higher, nobody got beat. It was a great offside trap,
It's
and that's
true.
that's the thing. I mean, like her leg sticking out, it was the only thing that kept that entire row of Utah Royals defenders on. I think a little bit more discipline on the line might have done it.
It's the only thing that well, I guess, oh my god, why can't I think of her Lorena, I guess that she would still get her concussion check, but it would
Yes,
be less of a bad thing if there
but
was not a goal.
correct.
Yeah, that was a really good collision there
Yeah,
between the two of
I
them.
I, I was a little worried about her.
Uh, oh, yeah, if you watch the replay, her head just not only is it colliding with the player, but it also ricochets off the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah. I have a couple of good shots of her head getting rocked to the side from the other player, but
yeah,
the problem with photos like that is you want their faces towards you so you can get the full expression, but they were faced the other way from where I was shooting, so
Darn.
you still get her being crunched. I had a lot of fans behind me like, "Oh, that's they can't let that goal stand. That's a foul." And I'm like, "No, she hit the ball before the collision. They were both going for it.
yeah,
If Lorena was a quarter of a second faster, she's there and knocks the ball away."
yeah. Or if
So,
Katie Scott just takes 2 steps forward, everybody's offside. It doesn't matter. Okay,
And
I
she
got
yeah,
gets
but there
myself
and
still
she
would have
off.
been
still
a
gets
collision.
rocked.
Could have still been a
She still
collision
gets
though.
rocked.
Yeah.
Could have still been the collision, but it wouldn't have counted.
All right. Anything else from the first half? We're going to come back if do you have anything else?
I just want to say one other observation in that final third. It felt like they were not together, not just in sync in terms of like the ball movement, but they were also not in fully in sync in terms of the press. Now, I don't know if that had to do with Michelle not being 100%, and not trying to, um, you know, re-injure herself early or something like that. But I thought as a whole, the press was out of sync from the front four, in the second half, and or in the first half. And I think there's definitely some things we can talk about in the second half that changed.
Yes. Any observations from the first half before we go? And I think the only one I would say is I looked over and Armas looked just a wee bit nervous.
I think a lot of people were. It felt very nervy at the end of like for them to get to halftime, and in terms of
Yeah.
like, okay, get to halftime 1-0, regroup. There's a very nervous energy in the stadium. Felt very Gotham-y, and I was just like, gosh, this is weird. It's quiet. The players weren't really having the energy, and yeah, it was a weird ending to the half.
Yeah, I went over to the Blue Crew to film, a video. It's coming out, and Off to the Wizards, go follow. And it was not good vibes over there.
Any previews like people being super nervous?
Uh, the mention
Just
of Chris Armas not winning in Kansas City has come out a few times, you know?
okay. All right, let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Powerful doesn't just happen. You have to make it happen. So the moment Total Wireless offers a free Samsung S25 FE with Galaxy AI, when you switch to the Total 5G or 5G Plus Unlimited 3-month plan, you take the network as powerful as you, with unlimited 5G data that won't slow you down. Now that's a total power move. Visit your neighborhood Total Wireless store. Device taxes and fees may apply. Requires new activation on a Total 5G Unlimited 3-month plan or higher. External port in and ID verification. Available only in Total Wireless stores. Limit to 4 devices per account.
New year, new me? Cute. But how about new year, new money? With Experian, you can actually take control of your finances. Check your FICO score, find ways to save, and get matched with credit card offers, giving you time to power through those New Year's goals you know you're going to crush. Start the year off right. Download the Experian app. Based on FICO score rate model. Offers and approval not guaranteed. Eligibility requirements and terms apply. Subject to credit check, which may impact your credit scores. Offers not available in all states. See Experian.com for details.
Spring is here and the shopping list is long. Time to make a Lowe's run. Buy 3 bags, get 3 free of Stay Green 1 cubic foot garden soil. Plus, right now members can earn 4 times the points on an eligible purchase. Start spring off strong with these deals and more. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 3/25 while supplies last. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change. Point boosters subject to exclusions and more terms apply. One time only offer.
This episode is brought to you by Subaru. Go further in a long-range Subaru hybrid with up to 597 miles per tank in the Crosstrek hybrid and up to 581 miles per tank in the Forester hybrid. Subaru. Love goes the extra mile. Visit Subaru.com/hybrid to learn more. Range based on EPA estimated combined fuel economy and a full tank of fuel. Actual mileage and range may vary.
And we're back. So a little nerves at the halftime. Fans behind me when I'm down there on the field, like saying some things, not very happy. Nothing super critical, I'll be honest, though. They were just like a little bit nervous that this was not the team that they were used to or expecting. But there were games last year where the Current didn't score early and they still won those games 2-0. A lot of them, right?
This is true, and also it took us until the very last game of the year to have a comeback win. So, despite it not being, it probably won't be a historic season. Okay, we've all said this. We all acknowledge it. We're off to a historic start right now compared to last year. We have a comeback win.
You could say that, yes. Team Current came out, I felt very different in the second half. Much more on the front foot, much more pressing, much more energetic. Cooper went out, Haley Hopkins came in. I'm sure that made a little bit of a difference because she's not been injured that we know of. So she's more fresh. How did it look from upstairs, Daniel?
Looked a lot better. A lot better. Talking to Armas after the game, one thing he said that was that they talked a little bit about just being a little bit more patient and letting things develop in the final third and not rushing to force the issue when they were there and forcing things that weren't quite there, which I think happened a lot in some of the long balls that got overcooked to Michelle Cooper or, kind of hopeful crosses, even some weird angled shots that really didn't need to be taken. Just kind of being patient to let the full chance creation develop. That happened for one. Two, the press was completely different. They got more numbers forward in the press, so they kind of had it set up in like a 4-2-4, but the 4 was really too wide and too up top. And they were not really pressing the goalkeeper in any way, shape, or form. Chris Armas told us that at halftime they decided to, quote, put the goalkeeper on the clock, as in we're going to now press the living daylights out of the goalkeeper. That young goalkeeper could not cope with that. She sent the ball out a lot. She was hurrying. She was rushing then. And all of a sudden, it created what happened. The long ball comes in, and so it's a less accurate pass. They're unable to truly develop out of the back like they were able to do in the first half. And then the Current, in turn, are winning the ball higher up the field and are quicker to transition through what was a very we talk about the Kansas City Current not having a very deep midfield. The current or Utah was playing CC Delzer, aka CC Kaiser, as a defensive midfielder in this game. That's
Not her
how
best role.
that's it's not the pet like we're talking a very opportunity for a very wide open midfield at that point. And so the current were really able to take advantage of that as well, and how quickly they won the ball around the halfway line, move forward. It just changed the whole line of confrontation. Where the second and the first half, I felt like if the Current were winning the ball, they were winning it on the entry into their final third because Utah was being very good in possession, and the Current weren't pressing as high as they probably could have in that first half. They made that switch, and it just changed the game. I felt like the whole second half was played inside Utah's defensive half because of the way the Current pressed, the way they won the ball, and it flipped the script on the match.
I think we should mention who this goalkeeper was, Mia Justice, also known as Tim Howard's cousin.
Correct.
I just want to throw that out there.
I forgot about that. I appreciate you pointing that out.
Little fun
Yeah.
fact for everyone.
Didn't Mandy McGlynn get hurt? Right, she got hurt in national team camp,
Yes.
which is why
Yeah.
Justice was thrown into the fray. Yeah, young goalkeeper, he's 22, 23 maybe.
23.
23. I didn't think she was. I'll say that in the first half, I was impressed with how she was playing out of the back.
Right.
But I think that she didn't have a whole lot of pressure on her. And boy, ratcheting up that pressure on it was a great call by the coaching staff, great call by Armas to do that and kind of flip the tide on the game.
Probably something they should have been doing in the first place. They just weren't doing it as well as they could have. And that could have just been the fact that Cooper was part of that press that,
Mhm.
again, we know how good Cooper is at that.
Mhm.
And just I'm giving her a total pass at this point for not being good at it for this game because we don't know how recently she's been fully back in training. So
Yeah, and sometimes too, it's on Setnor.
right.
Setnor was kind of running around a lot wide because that press wasn't being followed up from Croy necessarily yet, and there's a few others that left side of the press wasn't in, and so she was kind of roaming around wide. So then the tip of the spear of the press wasn't really centrally, and it wasn't real full coordinated effort. Just was a lot of running around, and I think they got everybody on the same page in the second half, and it was
Yeah.
muy effective.
And I really liked Haley Hopkins' movement up there. Um, I don't think it was too much more compared to what Cooper had, but it was nice to see her and on set pieces whenever she could get her head onto the ball.
A a reference point, a hold up play is what was kind of needed, I thought, and she brought that, even on the wing, not necessarily as a striker, but I think that was something that Bia did very well at times in the middle phase of the game to help the build up develop, and they don't have that anymore because Ali is not that type of player, but a player like Hopkins is, and they found some success with that, kind of playing off of her. Her and Dabinia linked up the entire second half, and Dabinia played lights out in the second half. Is what vintage Deb performance I thought, and
Yeah.
a lot of it came with her playing 1-2s and tiki taka kind of back and forth off of Hopkins and stuff like that. Hopkins was great with these little flicks on the outside of the boot, all that kind of stuff, flicking it on with the head. Just good, accurate hold up, build up play.
So they finally break through and I forget which minute it was, but they finally break through. Croy Bethune gets her first goal as a current player in her first game on her
hmm
birthday.
Yeah. She blew out the candles for her celebration. That
Yeah,
was epic.
twice.
Twice.
Twice. Did a little curtsy.
Little
Yep,
curtsy, the Croy
it was very
curtsy.
nice.
I liked it.
And I'm pretty clueless about a lot of these things, and I didn't think I'd heard it was her birthday, but I see her like celebrating. I'm like, what is she doing? I'm like just totally clueless. I have to admit this. And afterwards, I saw somebody mention it was birthday, and I went, okay, I feel like an idiot now. Um, I at least admit these things, but it was a nice flick from Kayla Sharples
Yeah.
that sent her in.
The assist, the center back, the vintage center back assist,
Yeah,
you know.
and she was way up there too. So I
Yeah.
don't remember what the situation was right before that, but she was up there. She did the flick. Croy basically played it perfectly. You know, one touch and then shot and goal.
Yeah. I liked that a lot. if you've read my story on the Star recently, you'll know that the current talked a lot about Armas is talking a lot about this kind of just slowing things down in the moment of truth, and not rushing things, taking things first time, maybe looking to upgrade the shot if you can, and you know, she could have very well taken that as the goalkeeper's rushing out with her right foot and tried to place it in there, but she took a touch on her left and just kind of slots it perfectly, curls it inside that near post, around the keeper and in. Just a very classy Croy finish.
Did you see Armas's reaction? You should watch
No,
the
I
replay. It's
haven't seen.
so funny.
Okay, I'll have to go back and watch it. Can you
Just say
describe it?
he's
Because
Yeah.
very yeah. Hold on.
pull
Let
it
me
up.
get I'm getting this in live time. He, like, arms out, looks like he has never seen anything like it, turns around and, like, goes and, like, jumps onto his other coaches. Or maybe more of an embrace, maybe less of a jump.
I was gonna say, like,
You know,
who's carrying him around? Freya? No.
it's it's relief, man. Boy, I
No,
think it was the whole it was liftoff for the game at that point. The
yeah.
atmosphere took over. The Utah was rattled, and it was very typical. The current felt inevitable. Really. So
Yeah, once I
impressive.
got that goal, I was pretty sure they were gonna win the game. It was just a question of whether it was 2-1 or 3-1, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it had to be a big relief for Armis and a lot of other people who were in that decision-making process that they got that goal and then they got the win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we I will still probably for an entire season long say that was not their best choice to hire him, but he's a really likable guy.
And
Uh,
every win, I will say thank you, Jesse Marsh.
what will you say on every loss?
Thank you, Jesse Marsh.
You might need to go higher on that.
Ah,
All right.
you know, oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead, man.
We don't need to belabor the point on this one anymore, so it's all right.
No, we will belabor it throughout the season. I know I will. So you'll at some point you'll be like, get over it, Thad, but it
No,
will
no.
still be a factor. Again, he's a really likable guy. So every time I talk to him, he's somebody who you just want to like. And I after the last availability before the game, just as he was walking away, I asked him a question real quick, and I said, "Would you rather win 1-0 or 5-4?" And he stopped, like didn't just like give me some really stupid pat answer, right? It just went 5-4, more goals. You know what Vlaco's answer would have been?
1-0, but
Yep.
you know, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. We'll move on. We can talk about some of the things he said post game after.
All right.
I just wanted to touch on.
I was gonna
Um,
say with that second goal, also watch Armis's reaction because that one he actually does jump into his coaching staff. He is at least like a knee off the ground, like someone's knee.
who caught him?
It was not Freya.
Okay.
Might it Rockies like no offense to Lucas or Milan, but they're not the largest of the two people within that coaching staff. Might be Rocky's job. You know how in the NFL they have the get back coach for
Yeah.
for like some of the coaches, especially Sean what's his name in LA. Gosh, his name's escaping me. But the head coach for the LA Rams notably has a guy that literally just like grabs on the back of his shirt and yanks him back from going onto the field when he's not paying attention. And Rocky is the catch Chris coach, basically.
I think this might actually be a question for him some point when it's not a very serious availability. Like,
or when the camera's done.
yeah. I kind of pulled that trick on the last three availabilities. Asked a question right when the team's camera turned off, just so I could try to get some sneaky thing in. All right, second goal, Ali Sutner. I have to admit, for just about a second there, I thought she's going to do that dribble through the middle and then not get a shot off, but she got the shot off, and it was a good shot, and it's the goal, and oddly, it was her first goal for the current also. So Croy's first goal and Ali's first goal in the home opener.
And it feels good, especially after seeing her with the national team so far this year, where
Yeah.
she's been lights out.
There was a lot of criticism of her last year, and the trade wasn't a good trade, and all this other stuff. And I saw her with the national team. And I kept thinking that she was going to light it up at some point, and maybe she just needed to be farther forward and more in the middle and a little freedom. And who knows? This is one game, one goal. Maybe she doesn't have a bunch more. I think she will, though.
Yeah, I thought the shot that she took was fine. I it's also kind of crazy in general, just like looking at how that play unfolds, and she gets the ball and picks it up and cuts and kind of dribbles through, and all the a whole time I'm expecting this shot to like rip into the top corner, and in reality it did not. It She somehow, with like almost no wind up, just like rips that shot back against the grain. The goalkeeper was caught flat footed, kind of screened on it by a million bodies, and there's enough power on it just to put it past her. Is really impressive, and how she gets that shot off, because it's not what I think anyone expected in the moment. But I also like love the development of that play, and like it's this interplay off the right. Deb takes off to the left, and I think if you watch, if it, unfortunately, I've only seen the clip on Twitter. So sorry for those of you who are on Blue Sky or Blue Ski, whatever the heck you want to call it. On the other site over there, they have a lot of those clips are shorter and you can't really see the full development. And it, like a lot of times it's like by the time Deb has already played the passes when the clip starts to the goal. But if you watch it before, as Deb's driving down with the ball, Penelope Hawking, who had got subbed on at that point, realizes what's developing, and she cuts across the face of the defender and just ever so slightly drags the furthest right defender, which would have been the closest to Allie, away from her, and then goes and kind of checks into directly into the second center back that's in that spot there and pushes her out of the way a little bit. So now they're all late in scrambling. And in reality, the one that she made kind of physical contact with is the one that probably came closest to actually blocking Sentinel's shot. And so, like, you think, like, just those little micro actions, one opens up the window for the pass to come through for Dabinia across the grain, and also delays the defender at that point then and knocks her back and away from the ball. So she's too late to react and get around and try and close down Allie for the shot. It's just like little actions like that that have knock-on effects in the play. And when you're a professional, like those like half seconds of actions are the difference between goals and no goals, or your shot getting blocked or your shot getting through. And I thought it was really impressive. Um, in general, I liked Penelope Hawking's debut, but that was like one of the off-ball, selfless actions that you see her take in that moment, and it really it won't go down in the score sheet, and a lot of that goal is a lot of work simply by Allie and Deb, but that was a movement off the ball that's so good to just delay things and open up windows for passes to get through the moment.
We need to be able to award like secondary assists for things like that. Like you didn't even touch the ball, and you should be able to get a secondary assist.
MLS has the hockey assist rule, and I
Yeah.
think it's the worst thing. It needs to go away. So
I
no
disagree.
secondary
Wow.
assists.
That's
You
a
make
hot
the
take.
you make the final pass, or you didn't assist the goal. That's it.
Look, I'm with you. However, Shades of Blue will disagree with you.
I'll
Thank
disagree
goodness
with you.
this
I
is
like
not
it.
shades of blue. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's a different color.
Different shade of blue.
Yeah, I still maintain that teal is a shade of blue,
It is.
I'd
even though
actually
that's
like to.
not a real teal.
I'd like to argue with it being St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. That could be a shaded green.
Tomorrow
Okay.
it can be a shade of green.
Just tomorrow.
I'm okay with that. I have enough Irish in me. I'll accept that. But this will be published tomorrow, and I do want to remind everybody to be safe and smart, because St. Patrick's Day is one of the 2 amateur nights where everybody goes out drinking that's not used to drinking, and they get really stupid. So
Don't drink.
it's your choice to drink or not drink. I don't criticize you for not drinking. I don't criticize others for drinking. I've been on
Correct.
both ends of that spectrum. Heavily. All right. what else from this second half? We mentioned Penelope got in. Jeanna Paul got in at the
Thought she
end.
looked thought she looked pretty good at striker. Kind of hold up again. Big physical reference point. She's a lot taller than I
Yeah.
expected on the field. The way she looked up from the press box, I was like, "Oh, you got a big target." So that was I've always thought of her as a winger, and I'd be curious if she does play a little bit more centrally, or if she does play kind of off the left when she does get minutes. We'll talk later. Might happen a lot this next week, but
Yeah.
yeah, I liked what I saw from her. She's good.
It was good for her to get in and get at least a taste of the real action. And
She seemed calm. Like there's a lot of
yeah,
times where players come in for debuts and you feel like the game's moving a mile a minute, and in reality, she walked in and she met the moment of the game in terms of physicality, speed. She was seemed to be processing and reading everything at the right speed. I was
yep.
impressed.
Yeah, and I want to say the most. I try to be level about these things, and I don't want this to sound critical. She didn't seem spectacular, but she also didn't stand out because she wasn't like trying to do too much too fast, like you were saying. She wasn't frantic. She wasn't panicked.
Mm-mm.
She was just doing her job
Yep.
and trying to just play that game. So I didn't want it to sound bad. She just fit in,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying. And for somebody in their first minutes, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. And she only had 5 minutes, so
Yeah.
can't do too much there.
But yeah, she is very tall. They were warming up right near where I was shooting, and yes, she was very tall compared to the other players.
There's nothing like my dad sitting next to me and being like, "Is she a goal scorer?" And I'm, like, trying to, like, dig out NCAA knowledge. Be like, she played at Bama. That's all I know. She set a record at Bama."
Scored a lot of goals in Bama.
Yeah, I think she'll knock in some goals in NWSL.
Yeah.
I
It's
agree.
got to see how you can say that about a lot of players when they come in and those expectations. Uh, we'll see how she does, but I think she'll do well. Anything else from this second half? The goals, the celebrations, the jumping into other coaches' arms, the subs. Anything else stand out?
As we talked about, I liked what I saw from Gabrielle Robinson when she moved up to the six. When E-ball came in, also felt like
Yeah.
the back line really felt like in that moment, the back line was starting to get really tested by Utah, and that just snuffed out any chance of Utah doing anything. So impressive.
So how do you rate this game? All right. I mean, it's Armas's first game. It's some other players' first game. 2-1 win at home opener. And home openers are not always the easiest things to get. I mean, we've seen them give up many goals in home openers and things like that. But it's also just, I don't want to say just Utah, but it's Utah. They were missing a bunch of players as well. Current were missing some players. They were missing a bunch of players, important players. Keeper, midfield. How do you rate this win? I mean, is it hey, everybody has to go out and get their first win and then you build from there? Or do you go, well, it was just Utah? Do you like, oh, this is a good sign for the future? Kind of how do you rate this win?
Yeah, I would say it's probably you guys just gotta go get your first win and then build off of it, and especially when we'll talk about in a few minutes, we have so many games coming up, that there's gonna I am not looking forward to the next few games and, like, overreacting to, "Oh, no, if we lost this game, we're gonna be so bad," you know?
Right.
But you gotta get the players that are injured healthy again, and that's gonna be a struggle for maybe a first few games.
Daniel?
Um, I think it's a good win, especially for character. I think early on in the season, uh, you can kind of tell from teams where their mentality is. And I like when I see that teams can come from behind and earn points very early in the season. I like it more when I see them build off of what they did to come from behind in the
Yeah.
next game. Like Sporting last year, so good at like was the furious 3-0 comeback against Minnesota. And it's like 3 or 4 games into the season, and you're like, okay, maybe they've got something coming. And then they laid an egg the very next game, and the game after that, and the game after that. This is, I think back to like Sporting, though, a couple of years ago. Sporting goes up 2-0 to Chicago on the road. They end up down 3-2, score 2 goals in the final minutes to come back. That team in 2018 was the best team in MLS for my money, and won the Western Conference. And they had a very elite, like, oh, we're not going to be messed with mentality. And we're going to find ways to win even when we're not at our best. And I think like a second half performance in the way that they came out were physically dominant. They were kind of unified together and hunting the ball, and they were creating really good chances. They honestly probably could have won that game 3 or 4-0 with some of the other chances, like Penelope Hawking. Like I said, great game, but like missed a wide open goal on one of the chances that she had. There was a couple of shots that could have gotten off in certain points that I thought probably would have ended up in. I thought they could have won this one running away. But if we see more of that team in the second half, this is going to be a team that's at least has a home playoff game, if not pushing for like a top 2 spot. Because I just think you looked at a lot of the other, if you've watched the rest of the NWSL, there was a lot of very sluggish, very disjointed, very questionable performances around the league from some teams that have been very good recently. And the Current did not look that way. The Current in the second half looked like they knew what they were doing. They were unified in it. And I think that's kind of a good telltale sign of where a group is at. And Chris Armas kind of mentioned this in his quote, but it's always like, it's good to know you have a team that can overcome adversity pretty early on in the season. And that's not like the Current last year did not. I thought Tom Pursley from Shea Butter FC hangs out in the press box, is a good reporter on games, and he pointed out that this was like the Current last year. It took the very last game in regular season to take points from a losing position, and in reality, the Current didn't lose very much in last season, but when they lost, and they never came back. And except for that game against San Diego at the end of the year, and like you look at this game, first game off the bat in a losing position, found a way to win. I just think that says good things about the mentality of the team.
And I just want to point out, Carrie mentioned that earlier also.
Yes.
Thank you, Thad.
I got your back.
I'm sorry. I just remembered it. I was thinking post game.
Right. No, it's cool. I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom asked the question or pointed it out. It's all good. I just want to make sure Carrie gets her credit also. I just have 2 observations all of a sudden that popped into my head while we were talking. One is last year, and even in the little bit of preseason game we saw, it felt like because Timoa wasn't out there, you would still see the passes that you expected Timoa to run onto. You did not see them in this last game. They were making the correct passes. They may not have always been connecting them as well as in the first half as they could have, but at least they weren't like kicking it 20 yards past the person, expecting them to run onto it like Timoa could have done. So that's always a positive sign, is they're playing to the players that they have, not the players that they wish they had. So that's good. Mm-hmm. And then just, I don't know why it jumped into my head, but because we were talking earlier about Vlaco would rather have a 1-0 win and Armas would rather have a 5-4 win. It almost feels like a different mentality of like where they grew up. Like East European just wants to be dominating and lock everything down, and then the American wants it to be free flowing and attack. So I don't know if that's a proper good explanation or observation, and I'll leave it there and we'll come back in a minute.
We all have that dream trip we've been wishing we could go on, but too often life, or usually price, gets in the way. That's why Priceline is here to help you turn your dream trip into reality. With up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights, you can book everything you need for your next adventure. Don't just dream about that next trip. Book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com and book your next trip today.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
This sweatsuit feels like instant recovery mode. Meet the Smooth Spacer matching hoodie and joggers from Lululemon. In a weighty fabric that's soft on the inside and sleek against your skin, bringing that perfect cool-down feeling wherever the day lands. Smooth Spacer sets. Available now at lululemon.com.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
They say you should learn something new every day. Like how you should only drink Jägermeister at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, ice cold. Like those frozen cavemen they find, which makes you wonder, what would a caveman think of Jägermeister? Well, if you served it warm, he'd probably throw it in your face, say, "Unga boonga," and storm off. And nobody wants that. So drink it cold or not at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume, imported by Mast Jägermeister, U.S., White Plains, New York.
We're back. The Current do not have an easy next week of games. Like, we're recording this on Monday. This is Monday. Yeah. Normally we do it on Tuesday, but this is Monday. Sunday they have a game, another game middle of the week, and then another game on Sunday. So 3 games in 8 days on the road, all on the road, and I believe all on the turf, as we discussed last week. What do we expect out of these games?
A lot of rotation, a lot of new faces, I think. I think this is a good way to kind of experiment with some of the depth that that this team has, and this team is trying to kind of figure out in terms of like, where's Gabby Robinson going to play all the time? E-Ball's a very good defender. How do you get her on the field with Sharples more? I think there's just opportunities to figure out a few of these things with some of the absence that they do have. And I don't want to say like results be damned over this week, but it's a crazy road trip to start the season. And I think it's going to be more important to see how some of these newer pieces and some of these things that they might try out um, work, so that they can be utilized later on down the road when they have a full complement of things, and they can give different looks if they need to in games to try something different or to give a different look to get a result if something's tight. So do I expect them to win all 3 games like I would have expected last year's team to? No. But I do expect them, at least on Sunday against Chicago, to look quite good.
Yes, I would say that a good road trip from this would be 4 points, and that is winning in Chicago and then picking up a point against either Seattle or Portland. And with no injuries, because we know Portland has taken down players year after year.
I mean, Seattle's going to be hard to beat with ChatGPT.
And in Spokane,
Yeah.
they're playing in Spokane. I don't know what that field looks like. I don't know anybody knows what that field looks like. It's just such a weird part of this road trip. They're going to go from Chicago to Spokane to Portland to home. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know why the schedule makers did this early, but we've complained about them in the past. Of the 3 teams they face, Chicago's the only one that lost. And boy, did they lose. They lost 4-0.
To Angel City.
Yeah. Again, this is early in the year. We live off of what teams used to be, not what they are now. So sometimes teams are better. I don't know. Is Angel City going to be good this year? I don't know. Sperry shook his head no for this audio medium. Although we have him on video, so maybe I should post that. Just that video. Him shaking his head no. Chicago did lose 4-0. What do we expect? I mean, I hadn't even looked at who's on their team at the moment, like what's changed. So they're a week out from my point of view. But so yeah, it would be good. I would like to see them at least. I mean, if this was last year's team, I would say 6 points or 7 points would be okay. But this year, 4 points is probably a good start.
Especially with the injuries that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we discussed this last time, was I don't expect some of those players to come back when they're playing on turf and a hard road trip. So We will ask Armas about that in the near future, as in tomorrow morning, probably.
Yeah. I would like to see the same starting lineup go out there um, for Chicago, and then so they can right their mistakes that they had in the first half they had here, and then results pending, he can start tweaking, throwing in people, starting the rotation process.
I think that's a good point. I'm not sure if I completely agree, though, just because I don't know if Cooper should start. If it, again, she's an amazing player. I don't know exactly what her injury was, but I don't know if I want to play her 60 minutes on turf. And if she starts, she probably will go 60.
That's fair.
A typical type of rotation. But if you bring her in the second half, then she can maybe affect the game differently at that point. What do you think, Daniel?
You know, it's one of those that I think is probably good for Coop to get 90 minutes
Yeah.
over the week. And so if you go 30, 30, 30, you go 45, rest 45, you go 60, rest 30, 90 to 120 minutes is probably ideal for her. I think in
Yeah, you
kind of
don't
the
want to
ramping
overexert
back
her.
up. Mm-mm. I would probably do so if I'm gonna play her on turf. I'd probably do so in the Chicago match before I would Portland, where we know happens regularly, on the very unknown of this field in Spokane. Um, so yeah, I think this Chicago team is not good. Not good. They got outplayed significantly. I know the XG isn't very high. It was just 1 to very little. It was like 1.17 to point 0.3. So the shots were not very accurate, but that's very bad goalkeeping from Melissa Nair then at that point. Um, the expected goals on target was 1.78, and they gave up 4. Um, on top of it, they got outpossessed 60% to 40% by a team that, honestly, looking at Angel City, is not very well set up to be a possession team. So that's kind of embarrassing. Um, I mean, get outpossessed by a team that's like looks like it's built to counter is just crazy to me. So, um, we'll see. The Chicago team's interesting. They have some interesting pieces on it. I don't know if anything that they're doing is going to make sense in the long run, but uh, like Carrie said, I think 4 points, and if you can hope for maybe another draw in either Portland or Seattle, heck, if you pick off a win in Spokane, don't have to really worry about what happens in Portland, to be honest. So
Yeah. It's about playing the long game at this point, not the go out and win every single game. It is kind of funny with Chicago, though. When I look at the lineup, the starting lineup there, at least half of those players, I go, oh, yeah, they should be good. I mean, I don't know some of them, but I look at half of them like, oh, they should be good. They're national team players or formerly national team players or currently recently called up. But sometimes that doesn't all add up.
the big point of frustration out there is that um, if you guys remember, the Elise Evans was the captain and defender at Stanford. Was one of the best defenders in college soccer. Did not make the bench for Chicago, and I think fans are big mad about that because she's good, and that team defensively stunk. So
Any rumors why?
the coach just said we could only put 22 players on a match day roster, and some were ahead of her.
Yeah, okay.
To be fair, they have one player on the bench that was labeled a defender. So
I don't understand some coaches, but I'm also not there enough to, I don't know their team well enough to know what might be in there, but it doesn't sound good. Let's hope they're as ineptly managed for the current.
yes.
All right. Anything else we should discuss that's current or current related or?
That's probably my car. I'm next to the highway.
Your car get
I
stolen
mean, not
though?
my car, not my car. It's probably, I mean, that's probably my feed. If you heard like that motorcycle or whatever.
For a second, I couldn't tell if it was like a car or a motorcycle or whatever, or you're being dive bombed. Like, man. Couple of former current players had good games. Ones that we've mentioned before. Pfeiffer scored in the opening game for her new team, as she did for last year for her team. Goal and assist, nice goal. And Claire Hutton was highest rated on FootMob in that game.
Yep. Not surprising.
No. We'll still miss them for a long time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, at Orlando Pride, almost said Orlando City. Orlando Pride, Haley did not have the greatest game. She looked a little silly in the first goal that whoever they were playing, Orlando let in first. But I do think that was technically on Rafa, and Haley falling to try to make the last minute ditch effort made her look more silly.
I have not seen that goal. I will have to go look. All right. Anything else we need to discuss? Can't see current.
No, just
NWSL.
It's the only game that was not 2-1. That was not a 1-goal game. Was the 4-0 drubbing?
Yeah. Everything else was 2-1 or 1-0.
Yep. Boston, not good. Don't know what they were doing with a 5-4-1 that they threw out there. I don't think that's right. It was definitely a back three, somewhat of a back three, but they had Adriana. Adriana. Why is her name Amanda Gutierrez? Only played 20 minutes of that game. Don't know why. She has scored 41 goals in 42 games in Brazil the last 3 years. And is one of the best goal scorers up and coming in Brazil. And you played her 20 minutes for this Asiata Traore, who does not have that kind of goal scoring record. So,
especially being down a woman in the game pretty early on.
Well, good old Bianca St. George, you know.
Yeah.
The NWSL is back whenever the 2 expansion teams have red cards. And then there was an hour-long rain delay as well.
Yeah,
So
I did love both expansion teams having red cards in their first game. So it's a good start. Might as well set your legacy right off the bat before you try to achieve the summit of your career. I think we should be over at this point.
I thought that's where you're going to end it. Just to have that.
Just a hard cut.
We're out.
Fade to music.